What's up, everybody? I'm Dave Bartosiak, and here you have another chart of the day for you. This time, talking about Apple, ticker AAPL. A lot to unpack here with Apple. All-time high, basically 260. And then here we are, Wednesday, April 9th. So I'm looking at yesterday on the 8th. Hey, look at how far we got. 172.42 on the close. 169.21 at the low, 260 to 169. What could possibly make Apple do that? Well, tariffs, my friends. Tariffs. It's not good when you're bringing in all your stuff from China. You're going to end up taking a hit. And we're going to go ahead, clear up this little pink line here. We're going to use the setting to get the exact top here. So 260.10. is going to be my top. And what did I say? 169.21. All right, let's go ahead and draw our fibs from there. Draw these today. You can go ahead and save these for your viewing pleasure later. Give you some idea as to where this top side resistance might be if, I do mean if, this bounce continues. I'm going to tell you right now where we are intraday. This ain't much of a bounce because you see all of these lower highs coming down across here. So we're still very much in the realm of lower highs. We have to depend on where we close today and what tomorrow brings, if it's follow through or a retest of the downside. If the market starts to tick on up, first step, 190.66 is the 23.6 retracement. You got the 38.2 at 203.94. We are oversold on Apple, coming up, hopefully crossing this 30 line. When it crosses that 30, you are go for launch. Similar thing happened here in March, right? Becomes oversold, crosses over 30. You see the day that happened was March 14th, and you did have a little bit of a run. Now, if we look back historically at times when Apple has been oversold, we're going to notice that same pattern. So here we get oversold in March of 24. March 8th, there's a little buy signal. Of course, that didn't end up really panning out. I guess it wasn't too bad. It rallied a little bit, came under pressure, took out the lows, and then went much higher. We've got lots of instances where this occurred. Here's another one, August 18th. That ended up being a pretty good buy. These are just tapping oversold. So it's not, I really want to see when it gets oversold for a few days. I mean, most of the time, Apple just kind of taps into oversold territory and then rallies. Here's a good one here. Back in December of 2018, you had a little volatility, but that ended up being a good idea. So what's the moral of the story is that usually buying an oversold Apple is a good thing. Here it is again back in May 2016. Now, like most things, technical analysis related, right? It's not 100% of the time, but it's about statistical probabilities. So the probabilities are in your favor when you buy an oversold Apple stock. Now, I will tell you right now, it is exact rank number 4 sell. That's right. We have Apple as a sell right now. And it's all because of those tariffs. So where are we at the tariff game here? Just in case you're watching this video later, China just came back with their reciprocal tariffs after we came in with our reciprocal tariffs and said we're jacking it up to 104%. So overnight they said, you know what? You got 104. We're going to be at, I don't even know where they're at now, 84, something like that. Still got this big gap down here. This is something I would love to see filled. I'm sure everybody buying down at 178 would love to see that filled too. So just keep that of note, because the top end of that gap is always going to be a risk. And again, we're talking about if this market rallies. 221.02. You do have a death cross a few days ago with that 50-day moving average crossing under that 200-day moving average. I will tell you one thing about death crosses, though. It's like they come in so late that typically most of the downside action is already done. So let's try to find the last death cross. So here's the last death cross here in March of 24. And you can see a similar situation, but the oversold market happened before the death cross here, not after. Let's find another one. We got one here. Market never got oversold during that. and you had a few more days of downside action before there was a rally. Here's one. This kind of coincides a little bit more. I think you get the death cross. A few days later, you got your oversold, and then the cross back up over, and you see their little retest of the lows, but then the thing went higher. So I think overall, if you buy the first oversold RSI after the death cross, you're usually pretty good. Or at least the oversold oversold that crosses over. So you didn't even get a signal there. And this is a huge rally here. Here's a good one. So you get a death cross, you get oversold, trying to cross over that 30. It barely gets 30.06. I guess you could say this is a signal for sure. You can see the follow through the next day, though. That's okay. So this is kind of a double tap. So this gave you a double signal. And again, still went lower before it went higher. So not saying that it's the bottom. And I think fundamentally, you can't say this is the bottom right now. But the grand scheme of things, is this a pretty good area to be buying a stock like Apple if you believe in its long-term fundamentals? Absolutely, yes. Okay, now let's say this thing breaks down further. So if you take out the lows, you've got this swing low, April 2019 low, 164.08. It's really not that far away. And then you've got the 23 low of 124. Now that feels like a long way away, but things happen. Tariffs happen, and oversold stocks happen too. So there's kind of and I know there's a huge gap there between that 163 and that 124 level. And the last time it was in that level, it did spend some time sort of chopping back and forth, right? So let's go here. So I mean, you're talking about this range. That was a lot of chop. You got above that. Remember, this wasn't put in until here, right? This level is sort of a new support level. So it didn't really have any effect back here earlier in the year because it wasn't made yet. So if they bottom down here, a retest of that, you got to figure that people are going to be buying back down there also. And that's really not that far. So you could have some institutional money that's saying, hey, wait a minute, we're oversold. We need to go ahead and peck at this and see what happens, at least in the intermediate term. But again, we're going to get a little bit more granular here. And it's all about what happens the rest of today and tomorrow. So what do you need for a positive or a bullish situation? You need it to take out 130.34. At the very least, you need to close above 172.42 today. We're going to get that, I hope. And that's sort of the first start. And then we'll see. If it takes out the highs, we can get through the next fib. If it doesn't, I'd be looking for a retest of the lows and further downside. So you got some real quick actionable items that are going to take place here. And then if it keeps on rallying, of course, you're looking to fill the gap and then retest that 50-day when it comes on down. But for now, very oversold, not the most bullish situation or setup. It all depends on, do we get follow through tomorrow or does it all fall apart? Who knows? The market does. All right. Thank you so much for checking out my chart of the day. If you're on Zacks, be sure to follow the author. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel and come back next week for the next one. I'm Dave Bartosiak, and I'll see you then.